Thanks so much for getting your day going with us as we help you plan for the big events in your neighborhood.
That's right. The Weather Channel has you covered from coast to coast.
Now, overnight, howling winds, including some that reached 100 miles per hour, tore across the central U.S. And now those storms are beginning to push a little bit farther to the east and south, but thankfully not as intense as they were last night, late in the evening.
Yeah, such a busy time. I was, watching the National Weather Service out of Chicago issuing all those alerts, and I'm like, man, I bet when they get off shift tonight or when everything is done, they are going to be exhausted. What a busy evening.
Yeah, it was extreme, right? In fact, check out some of the damage from the severe storms that slammed parts
rain. What happens, though, is this front ends up stalling out, so it's got this front stalled, interacting with the tropical moisture kind of over and over again. And then we're adding in some upper level disturbances or some upper level reinforcement to get that rain going. So you are just wringing the tropical moisture out of the atmosphere. We're putting that on areas that have already seen quite a bit of rain recently. You can see the coastal areas of North Carolina up into coastal Virginia where you see the orange here. That's 5 to 8 inches of rain. But a lot of us still need it. We're dealing with drought conditions, severe, moderate, and you can see this extreme drought that's begun to show up there across portions of the Carolinas. And we are dousing that area with rain. Mother Nature is like, all right, I see you. Let's get that grass back to a little green, right? But with that, especially where we have the extreme drought, the ground is dry. That makes it hard for that water to actually soak in really efficiently. So that is going to lead us to a better chance of some flash flooding. And then we're going to stretch that all the way back through the lower Mississippi River Valley for your Thursday, again into Friday and early Saturday from the Carolinas back into Texas with that risk for some flash flooding because we're just going to have rounds and rounds of rain. It's like, you need the rain, you just don't want too much of it, but rarely do we ever just get that perfect balance. Each afternoon, even into the overnight hours with that stalled frontal boundary, that is our focal point. It traps that moisture across the southeast, and that is going to be hanging around into the weekend. This is one of those weekends where maybe you catch up on your summer cleaning because a lot of us are going to be dealing with rain round after round. Alex.
Well, did Mother Nature produce
Make your Tuesday morning a little bit easier. Let's all give ourselves just a little bit of time to let the severe weather pass. You might still deal with a little bit of rain. The roads are still going to be wet, but at least you won't be out in 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Got a couple different severe thunderstorm warnings that we're watching. This area here around Kansas City and north along the I-35 corridor, and then you can see a couple more severe thunderstorm warnings that we're watching just to the east as well. Taking another look at our severe thunderstorm warning for the Kansas City area, that is lasting until 9 a.m., so about 10 minutes left on that there. Overland Park, you're included in that, but of course most of the heavier stuff has moved past there. That is moving to the east at about 40 miles per hour-ish. Has that considerable threat tag on it because you could see 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That is enough to bring down some tree limbs, trees, and blow around those high-profile vehicles. So you don't want to be out on the road in that if you can avoid it. Timing out the leading edge of some of those heftier winds, Independence around 850, Grain Valley around 911. And we're going to see this kind of continue progressing east along that I-70 corridor, Blue Springs around 9 a.m. So if you're there, maybe just wait it out a little bit, or if you can get to where you're going before that storminess gets there, that's your best bet. But what you don't want to be doing is rushing in that heavy rain and in that wind. Worst way to start out your Tuesday is hydroplaning off the road or something like that when you could have just waited an extra 10 minutes. Lawrence, we've had those winds gusting up to 70 miles an hour with these same kind of cluster of storminess. You can see some of our other reports here. Power lines are reported to be down on 620 South 4th Street. So that's also not what you want to be dealing with. These storms have packed a punch. They've been enough to bring down some power lines, to bring down some wires, and that is dangerous. You don't want to run into that. You don't want to be dealing with that. That could back up your traffic. This is what I always think when we're dealing with something like this, with this severe thunderstorm warning. You could wait it out and wait 15 minutes, wait for it to pass, and maybe you're a little bit late. Or you could be sitting on the highway for an extra 10 to 15 minutes with all the traffic, with everyone around you dealing with this. So, if you need an excuse, tell them Felicia at the Weather Channel said you could be late this morning, so you're not driving through a severe thunderstorm warning, because those are packing quite the punch this morning. Another one that we're watching with this considerable threat tag, same thing for some really gusty winds, maybe a bit of hail closing in on Salisbury right now. Huntsville, Moberly, Salisbury all included in that until 9:30. Those are kind of traveling along that Highway 24 corridor currently. And what you'll notice is also probably some heavy rain, maybe a bit of hail, maybe some penny-sized hail. That's what we've been seeing in some of these storms. That severe thunderstorm warning also just getting kind of extending a bit farther to the east. You'll notice we've got a line of rain that's stretching across Missouri, stretching into southern Illinois. Here just south of St. Louis, we've got some of the heavier rain, and that's where we're seeing some of our flash flood warnings coming up there across southern Illinois as well. That rain has been coming down in buckets, and we're going to continue to see it across this region, and that's why we have those flood alerts up. Flood watches for places south of Rolla, there to the north and west of Poplar Bluff, and then stretching up into Columbus, Cincinnati, Louisville, Bloomington, and then another round of severe storms possible a little later on across the plains. We're going to stretch that across the mid-Mississippi Valley as well. So we're not done. This is just our first round of storms today, Alex. We'll have more heading into the afternoon and evening. So again,
today and tomorrow as well. A lot more to go.
Yeah, thanks so much for getting your day going with us as we help you plan for the big events in your neighborhood.
That's right. The Weather Channel has you covered from coast to coast.
Right. Overnight howling winds, including some that reached 100 miles per hour, tore across parts of the central U.S. And now those very same storms are pushing toward the northeast and into the mid-south. So we have a lot to go through today. Some of it dealing with the remnants of last night.
Yeah, those storms certainly did not hold back. That's for sure. We had a lot of areas having to deal with some issues. In fact, just
those storms, a big kick with all that fuel available.
And thanks so much for getting your day going with us, helping you plan for the big events in your neighborhood.
And that's right. The Weather Channel has you covered from coast to coast, no matter what you're dealing with.
No matter what it is. Overnight, those howling winds included some wind gusts over 100 miles per hour across parts of Illinois. Well, those moved through, and we're actually still dealing with some of the consequences right now. They haven't gone away completely.
Yeah, you know, if you're waking up this morning and you're like, okay, I need to pick up some of these tree limbs, or maybe even had damage to your home, you hate to see it because we've got more storms in the forecast for some of these places.
Yeah, it is a mess. In fact,
from one extreme to the other.
Oh, I mean, I get it. When it gets this hot, you're just looking for some relief. Conditions for 5 days straight.
That's a lot. That's going to wreak some havoc.
I don't ask for much, but I want dew point of around 73 and thunderstorms in the afternoon with gusty winds. But that's not too much to ask, is it?
No, that's not very specific.
It's not. Florida.
Maybe that's where I need to end up.
Pretty much anywhere in Florida, I'd say. You're probably going to be able to find that, Dr. Poza.
All righty, there we go.
All right, I'll head to Threads. You can keep the comments coming. We love to hear from you.
Now for your Tuesday morning snapshot, here's everything to know before you head out the door. Right now, parts of the central U.S. on alert as severe storms rumble across the plains. Those threats include damaging wind and the potential for some quick spin-ups like we're seeing. And it's not just the plains facing severe weather. Millions are going to have to make sure they're on alert in the northeast as storms bring damaging wind to parts of the interior of the region today. And that's not all. Heavy rain could also stir up big problems. We're watching for the potential for flash flooding as pockets of heavy rain move in. You can see a large swath of real estate from the northeast stretching all the way back through the plains with that risk for flash flooding today. Cities like Springfield, Louisville, Charleston, West Virginia, you have that risk for some flash flooding. So be careful as you head out on those roadways. Alex.
Yeah, you said it on those roads.